If your goal is to change your body composition, not just lose weight, so lose body fat and gain muscle, it's easier to do that if you have some kind of progress tracking. You can do this at home without anyone else's assistance. It can be hard to see if you're making progress, especially if your body weight is not changing. So we want to have some kind of information that will help us make decisions about how well our exercise routine or our nutritional habits are working to help us reach our goals. So if you want to do some things at home, because currently we can't get a body fat composition test done because we can't be too close to each other, and sometimes you just rather not share that information with other people. So there's a few ways that you can do it yourself. It's not as accurate as getting a DEXA scan or body fat calipers, but it does the job and you don't have to share it with anybody, and you can measure your own progress. So the first one is body weight and BMI. Both of those don't tell you what you're made of. They just tell you if you're the right weight for your height and how much you weigh. There's nothing wrong with either of those, but they're limited. If you are using body weight, then take your body weight at the same time on the same day weekly, not every day. And if you have a regular schedule, like a Monday to Friday type schedule, take it in the middle. So if you're working Monday to Friday, take it on a Wednesday morning. Typically, we do better with a schedule and a routine. So Monday, we tend to weigh the most, and Friday, we tend to weigh the least. So Wednesday kind of is the best day to get a good reading weekly. You might also want to take progress photos. I know this terrifies people, but remember, no one else has to see them. They're just yours. So you would take one from the front, from the back, and each side, hopefully against a wall that is one color without anything else in the way, and wearing as little as possible. So a pair of shorts and a sports bra, or if you're a man, just a pair of shorts. You want to see difference, so there's no point in hiding it behind clothes. You wouldn't do this often, maybe every 3 to 6 months, but it is a good idea to measure change over time. And then the other thing that you can do fairly regularly, maybe once every 3 months, once a month would be a bit more aggressive and you might not see a change, is circumference measures. And all you need is a tape measure, which is so simple. Make sure it's this kind of tape measure, not the metal kind. You want it to be flexible. Ideally, it would be, you would do it at the same time of day, on the same day, by the same person, if it's not yourself, using the same tape measure and done on the same side of your body. So if you're right-handed, do it on your right side because you're going to be a little bit bigger on your right side. Your more dominant side will have more muscle. And if you're left-handed, do it on your left side. So what do you want to measure with your tape measure? You want to measure your bicep at the widest part, your chest at the widest part. Your waist is harder to measure. Some people don't really have a waist, some people do. If you put your hands on your hips and just raise them up 2 fingers, that should be fine. You can also measure at your belly button. Just make sure whatever you do it the same every time. You want to measure around your hips. So right at the top of your iliac crest, when you put your hands on your hips, just measure around the top of your hips, the widest part of your glutes, the widest part of your thighs, and the widest part of your calf. So those 7 measures will give you a good indication of change over time. So why do we do that? It's a model of muscle, and this is a model of fat. And body fat takes up more space and for the same weight that muscle does. So muscle takes up about 1 pound of muscle takes up about 2/3 the space of 1 pound of fat. So if you're taking your body measurements and you're shrinking, but you're not weighing any less, that means the change is muscle. So we can extrapolate that I'm gaining muscle and I'm losing fat. If you're getting bigger, you might be just gaining muscle and not losing any fat at all. It could be that you're gaining fat and muscle. That's possible, but the idea is as we change over time and we're doing the right things, that we will gain more muscle and we lose more fat, so we will shrink regardless of our weight. As I mentioned the other day, I don't weigh any different this year at the start of this year than I do at the start of last year, but I know that I have less muscle because I've been injured, because my gym has been closed, and because things are a little bit tighter. So that's an indication that I may have lost muscle and gained fat, but I probably haven't just gained fat because I can still fit into my clothes and I weigh the same. So we know that we can't change muscle into fat, we can't change straw into gold, but we can have less of this and more of that. And the easiest way to measure, if you don't have the ability to get a body composition analysis, is to keep track of how you look, so progress photos, your weight, and your circumference measure, so bicep, chest, waist, hips, glutes, thigh, and calf. So why so many measurements? Typically, though not always, women tend to lose weight from the top down. So arms get smaller, chest gets smaller, waist gets smaller before hips and thighs. Men typically lose weight from the bottom up. Everybody loses weight in the middle last, although it's not impossible to lose your belly fat. It just tends to stick around a little bit more. So you have to be a bit more disciplined about that. But it's nice to see a change, because if you're not losing weight, it can be unmotivating to think I'm not making a difference when you really are making a difference. And we know that muscle is healthier and it will help us live longer. So if we can keep track of those measurements, then you can see your progress, you can be more motivated, and you can stick to it. If you don't see any changes, that's not bad either. It means that you need to adjust either your exercise routine or your nutrition plan, either of those, or maybe a little bit of both. And that's what I do every day. So if you need some help, let me know. But it's good to have a measure, because if you don't know where you're starting from, you can't tell if you've progressed or you stayed the same. And also, sometimes the number on the scale doesn't change for a long time. So it's good to see what else is happening if we're working really hard and feeling like things aren't changing fast enough. You may be surprised to see all the differences that you can make with a little bit of effort and some tweaks to your regular exercise program.